there's quite a big gap, so you know you may as well use the primes in the first stint, and then.
Well, WRL Montoya going a little wide at the hairpin at turn 14 there. He actually got on the curb and it kind of got stuck on it. Kind of like when you're riding at Spa and you get stuck on the sausage curb at Pouon. Going through 14, he's drifted all 4 tyres over to the right. So it's a 1:34. The option tyres are going to be a bit disappointed, really, because he definitely would have expected a bit more ultimate pace. On the stream, Jonathan Saunders saying, "Hello, Swish, nice to hear your voice again." Where have you been for the last 2 weekends? I've been doing the F1 all this season.
you were making a rare appearance for GP3 the other night as well, so...
That's correct, yeah, because... well, Sharky, of course, did unfortunately have some computer trouble, which meant I had to get in the box at the last minute. Neil says Sharky did help us out with the second set of footage, so hopefully once the steward reports all come up, been delayed, unfortunately, due to Elite having a few problems with his own machine. Not been a good week for us, really, at XRL. Quite a lot of technical issues here. Evidently, the Gremlins don't want us to bring in the action, but Stuart B949 goes out again on the option tyres, just a little wide at turn 1, and trying to use that to scrub the speed through turn 2 there, and he did a decent job, but put the inside tyres too close to the line.
He was just a small fraction out of being perfect into entry of turn 2, just getting on the grass ever so slightly. You don't want to jump on your tyres going through the rest of that section.
Definitely not, because you got the low speed, and then of course you need to have a lot of traction coming out of turn 3 especially. Normally a place where you might want to push on with a little bit of curves there, especially in the first stint of the race, and you're just coming out from your pit stops. And if you've got junk on the tyres, all you're going to do is generate the wheel spin, try and dig your way back to Australia and ruin your grip in your tyres. So you've got to make sure you have the grip. But Stuart's not done a bad time here. He's coming through sector 2, looks reasonable for his division. Obviously, he's not an actual F1 driver. He's covering tonight for ex-Jambo, who's unfortunately had a router failure. So he's not been able to make the race, and that'll be a disappointment for Jambo, because he's shown decent pace at both Australia and Malaysia, and he'll hope to try and convert that here in Shanghai.
His teammate, Lewis Hamilton, is also missing this week. Reasons, I'm not sure, but... here this week as well, so we've got Bosley stepping in for him. So
big mistake there from Stuart.
Ooh, yeah.
He's gone very 13, and he almost spun the car. He may just go straight into the box here. No, he's started to carry on. Go slightly over the white line. You might get away with it in qualifying. He improves his time, 1:34.5. That's a surprise, because needless to say, he seemed to make a big mistake at turn 13 there. Good driving on the stream. Yeah, exactly. XRL Fearless, meanwhile, he's on another run on the prime tyres. Currently at 1:14, just over the DRS line, but he's not using his DRS. Has he got a problem, or is this an in-lap?
With 4 minutes to go, so
I think this is going to be a box from XRL Fearless as well. Yeah, he's straight in. On the street, Sharky says, "Good show from the voice of XRL and the boss." I'm guessing he's talking about me and Nia in that particular order, because I'm certainly not the boss. Reese goes out for his outlap, so try and find someone who's actually on quite a decent lap at the moment. XRL Bobberts just gone through turn 3 and got a load of wheel spin going out of that corner. As I said before, the snail, as I call it, you really have to get the grip there, and you need a car that's got good mechanical grip rather than aero grip, especially when in the race and you've got the heavy fuel and you've got the long distances. Those tyres will really go off, and if you've not got mechanical grip, you're going to suffer very badly. As was Bobber's connection there, he got a lot of judder.
Button's 33.2 on the options, good enough for P2 currently. So Button not getting
wow.
Position, and I think that
33.2 is not good enough for pole.
Valexi's in front of him, yeah, he's done 32.9, and Valexi is incredibly quick this week. But let's quickly have a rundown of this.
XRL OGS just about to start his lap. Sorry to question there. He really needs to improve because he's currently last place, according to the ones apart from us at the back, of course, who don't qualify. And he's got a car who's nice from McLaren there, stopped right in the middle of the pit lane. Good drive from that McLaren driver to make sure he didn't get in the way of LGS, who's had a very poor run to turn 2, got very, very wide there, going into the turn 3 curb, got decent traction out of the corner. He's got good feather on the throttle, and that might put him in good stead for the race. He really needs to find a lot of pace if he's going to have any chance here. Meanwhile, over to you since you wanted to do a rundown.
I was going to do a rundown, seeing as most of them on either in or out laps. 2 seconds covering the whole field. The next team got a 3/10 advantage at pole over TRL Button. Mr. Ice Cold Andy, a whole second behind Button in third. Fearless is in fourth. WRL Montoya on the options in fifth. Reese 26 in sixth. 7th is Bob, it's 8th is Fozzie with the other GP2 reserve, Stuart in 9th, Nutters on the primes in 10th with NMR Mr. Indigo, I think on the options in 11th, Tom on the primes in 12th, with Sean, the track which is weak with him, 13th, 1.8 seconds down on pole, and LGS, as you said, rounding off the 14 drivers who are racing today.
Speaking of LGS, he had a very poor run out of turn 11. He had to kind of get out of the gas, got a lot of understeer there, and that compromised him going into the really long turn 12, the bank corner. A good place to get your curves and get into the slipstream and head into the DRS zone, one of the longest on the calendar. So a good straight line speed car is needed. Out of 13, not a bad track of the hairpin. Question is, has he gained any pace on that 34.8, done a good clean run through 14 though, very nice to see, and he gains 4 tenths to go P9, a big improvement but still nowhere near where he wants to be. Going further afield, Reese 26 in the Lotus, just going through turn 12, he's also on the option, and he'll be disappointed to be not near the front of a time like that, but
this is a bit of an improvement.
yeah, he looks pretty solid as he's gone over the DRS line, about the 1 minute 12. Into turn 13, gets nicely on the brakes quite early there. Takes a wide line though. Very much like the karting line in the rain there. He might have got better straight line exit because of it. But needless to say, he's not getting much grip through it. How wide are you going to go at 14? Just over the white lines there. Kind of naughty, and that's not an improvement. He'll be disappointed with that.
I think running wide the hairpin did that. I thought he was on about a 1:33.9 or something like that. But
WRO Montoya. WRL Montoya going for turn 7 and 8, and I believe that was XRL LGS in the Ferrari who deliberately drove left way over the runoff to make sure he got out of the way. Very good driving here from all the drivers, all making sure to get out of the way of each other. And WRL Montoya into turn 11, gets the inside apex beautifully there. Nice grip on the outside to get into this long filtering bank corner. Really enjoy the grip here as your car starts to peel to the left because of the bank nature. Onto the curves, looking pretty solid so far from WR Montoya. Getting onto the DRS flat 111. This is pretty pacey so far.
Yeah, I've just finally got on board with it. It's really annoying when you can't select the drive you want to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Going through turn 13, he clipped the inside apex very, very well there, WR Montoya. Making sure he doesn't get too attracted to the wider line. Going into 14, oh, he sent the ball out flying. But he's got a 33.6 though to P3, so he's gained 6 tenths there on the stream of elves. A lot of people all want to go spooning at the moment because John Vassonis says I'm the man, then Clarkson says he's agreed and all this kind of thing. Skyrim gets involved and just goes, guys, get a room. Not quite sure what that's all about. So meantime, XRL Fearless, he was early leading the qualifying positions. On 134.1 on the option tyres is now down in 5th place. Going through the turn 12. Curves deployed here as you get towards the DRS zone. How close is it going to be the pace of WR Montoya? About the same kind of lap time, but he's late getting the DRS flap open there. Probably lost a good half a tenth of the extra speed.
TRL
turn 13.
I'm on board with. This is a make or break lap for him.
Well, XRL Phelps goes a little wide at 13's entry and manages to pull it back into turn 14. No ball to get in the way this time. Drives that very, very well. And he's improved to a 133.5. So he's gone the what pace there. He's got ahead of WR Montoya, who's now in P4 on a 133.6. TRL Button, meanwhile, as you said, make a break. He's on the option side. Oh, his teammate nearly compromised him there. Going through 7 and 8. He won't be happy about that. As we head into turns 9 and 10, he gets on the outside curve. Loses a lot of pace, and I think that's his lap dead. Unless he gets a magnificent sack for 3.
No, this is still good. This is still good, but that Sauber, is he going to be in the way at a very critical point in the lap? Probably not.
It might actually help him here, because if he gets a good line through the bank corner, he may actually get a very good tow down this extremely long DRS zone, and strangely, TRL Button tries not to take advantage of it. A driver like Fernando Alonso would have got right behind that there, and I'm surprised he's not actually done that. But DRS flap open, let's see, oh, he's just a little wide to the edge there, almost goes into the gravel. Gets into the brake zone a bit too early there, slowed his car down in a poor way, but still clips the apex well at turn 13. Into 14, it's going to be touch and go if he's going to improve here. Not sure he will, he goes very, very wide at the final corner, and he goes over the line at 133.1. He does improve.
Not by enough though. Alexi's just been a different class in qualifying state. WRM Montoya is done. So this is the rundown. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah, we'll go to the rundown for you then. In pole position, we have F Velocity on a 132.9. As we've lost connection to Sean Bean. If someone doesn't get him in here, he will not start the race.
Now. He can't get into him before the 15 minutes.
So
I'm not.
disappointment there for Sean Bean. He's not going to get the chance to race despite qualifying. CRL Button a 1:33.1, and then next time I'll feel is 4 tenths off at a 1:33.5. WRL Montoya 4 for 1:33.6. Ice Cold Andy 5th place. Disappointment for him at 34.1. Then we've got Reese at 34.2. XRL Bobbers at 34.3. XRL Fozzie at 34.3. And XRL OGS at 34.4. Now, all those guys from 3rd place down were covered by maybe half a second between 3rd and 8th place. Off the start, this could be absolutely explosive.
A lot of varying strategies, though. As you said, extremely close. You've got people in the primes and they're making out like nutters who might be expecting to be a little bit higher up. And you've got people like maybe WRL Montoya who are on the options. I don't know what Mr. Ice Cold Andy was on, but by his standards, as option tyres, that was quite poor.
When I saw him briefly, he was actually on the prime tyres, but whether he stayed on the primes or not, it's hard to know. But either way, he's still starting down in 5th place. Of course, the defending champion, he's already lost 50 points to TRL Button. That's the difference, 50-0. So if Ice Cold Andy's not careful, he could find himself in a similar position to Sebastian Vettel in 2009, where Johnson Button was able to fall over the line at the end purely because of how much he won in the flyaway races at the start of the season. So Ice Cold Andy really needs a good race if he's going to have absolutely any chance of being able to get on the heels of TRL Button and get back into the championship fight.
Definitely, and you would have felt like if he just hung on in those 2 races in the changeable conditions that he would have probably gained a few points, but nowhere near the amount that he was expecting. Fearless has just sent me a message. Oh, okay, I've got to listen to this, haven't I?
You and Trish get disconnected. Cheers.
Probably a second quicker, if not more than a second, than last year's pole position. Now, underlying pace there, that is literally like the Mercedes versus everybody else in this real life season. Talk about art imitating life, courtesy of Velocity there.
Yeah, definitely, he has absolutely blown away the field. I sort of witnessed this earlier on with his pace. His quali lap that he did for the track guide was a few tenths shy of what he did just then, but whoa, that's quick enough. We'll obviously be watching the track limits on that last corner as well today, I think.
Of course, I mean, we did see quite a lot of drivers going over there at the qualifying position, and say you might get away with it in qualifying because it's difficult to give much of a punishment away. But in the race, you can get tossing up penalties. We've seen this before, where you get followed for so many laps, and they check all the stewards check out the positions. And whether you're in the Formula 1 division or whether you're one of the new guys in T6, make sure you keep your wheels inside the right line. Otherwise, you're going to find yourselves under a lot of pressure from the stewards, especially if you get yourselves too many reprimands over the season.
A bit of an odd one from Sean Bean. Sean Bean sent me a message saying this is what hell feels like about 30 seconds before he disconnected. Don't think that was a disconnect. I think it was just him lacking pace, or I don't know. But it doesn't. I don't think that's a disconnect.
Well, according to Righteous Tag, who's checked it on my stream, he's in a party with Sean, and he is not happy, but happy to do GTA now. Put yourself down and watch. Don't you dare go away. We've got a race here in China, and it's going to be a bit of a crazy one. Question is, who's going to win here? Has Velocity got the qualifying pace but not got the race pace? Or are we going to see a driver who's able to lead from the front? Don't forget, TRL Button is starting hot on his heels, and he's been the one to watch so far in the races this season.
See you at Monaco, says Sean. He's away for exams now, so we are missing a quick driver in Sean Bean. But would it be nice for him to put a little bit of effort in tonight and see what he could have got out of it? It's a 19-race season. You can't be winning every week, but he obviously thinks he can.
Well, at the end of the day, speaking of winners, who's going to be our choice for this week? I think I'm going to be conservative and go with TRL Button, purely because over the race stints for the first 2 races in Malaysia and in Australia, he's had the pace over everybody else. Whereas Velocity, he might be able to pull it back. His qualifying pace was strong, but it's a question of whether he's all rapid over the 1 lap and then falls away in the race, kind of like Jarno Trulli used to do.
I can't look past Alexi. I've seen him practice a lot this week, and he has been rapid, so I'm going to have to go with him, but I think we're ready to go.
In the meantime, Sharky on my stream has pointed out that not everybody in T6 is new. Yeah, I know that, I am aware of that, but I know that a lot of new drivers are in there as well, and it's great to see all of you, whether you're in the top division or whether you are here in the lower divisions at T6, either way. It's great that you're all racing and being part of the league. On the stream, we've got JK10 saying that he believes Velocity and TRL button for 1 and 2. Well, as they qualify, we've seen that happen many times before in the race. Of course, the only way we're going to know is by getting out to the track. So let's get out there to bring you coverage from Shanghai, China. Well, with lots of fast straights and fast changes of direction, this is a case of mechanical and aerial grip being required, but not too much of either, or else you're going to be a liability down in a straight line. So we're going to find ourselves here for 56 laps of Shanghai, China, and it's a track where we've seen lights of TRL button perform before, and it's a question of whether they're going to convert it. Once the 5 lights go out, we'll be racing. So it's lights out, and away we go. Heading out towards turn 1, Velocity's got a decent start. I got poor traction initially, was managed to get away from that. TRL buttons made. Tyre went over the inside, managed to get away with that. WR tyre in P3 filters in behind one.
I completely missed you there. I did not hear half of that, but all I got was a ghost Red Bull at the exit of the snail causing a spin.
Yeah, I think that was XRL Fearless, and also we did see one of the Williams getting spun round. I think that would have been Ice Cold Andy, because he started in 5th place. XRL Fuzzy, meanwhile, he's profited quite well. He's now in P5, staring at the back of the Ferrari being part of XRL Bobbers. Behind them, meanwhile, XRL LGS steams up the inside of Stuart B949, but great defensive drive from the Sauber driver. They're side by side, going through the back corner at turn 13, and it looks like Ice Cold Andy in the Williams is also trying to get close to the pair of them here. XRL LGS backs off to the outside in P7, then down in P8. It's actually Nutters 91 on the prime tyres. He's using the toe of Stuart 949 in the Sauber to go past LGS down towards turn 13. He's got the inside line. LGS tries the outside, and Nutters 91 dives past the pair of them in an absolutely magnificent piece of driving.
Fantastic start from Nutters then. He's gone up to P6, and he's on the prime tyres as well.
Up ahead, meanwhile, we've got one of the Saubers, XRL Fozzy. Starts to go very, very wide. He's on the prime tyres, though. So doing really well, that Ferrari driver in 4th place on the prime tyres. Really good position here. But meanwhile, what a scrap. We've got going back from Nutters 91. We've got about 6 cars all banging wheels next to each other. In 7th place, we've got the Stewart XRL. He's currently in 7th place. Then down in P8, we've got XRL LGS, who's done well, but he's not really getting the ground he wanted. NMR Mr. Indigo, meanwhile, is down in P9 in the Red Bull. And then behind him in P10, Tom 625 in the Mercedes. All very quick drivers, all pretty much nose to tail. XRL just getting poor traction through turns 7 and 8 due to the turbulent air there, and he gets very close to the back of that Sauber. Magnum Mr. Indigo, meanwhile, fancies a look at the inside of turns 9 and 10. Thinks better of it, but LGS goes. Yeah, he did. He took a very compromised line through turn 10, and now NMR Mr. Indigo fancies to go into 11. LGS defends to the inside, so goes back to the middle, and that's good driving there from LGS, making sure he can keep that Red Bull behind him, but Indigo seems to be much more comfortable at this stage of the race.
Those prime tyres obviously working very nicely for him on the early stage of this race.
Indigo, meanwhile, is under big pressure now because Tom 625 on the options in P10 is looking at the back of him. No DRS yet, of course. That won't be available until the next lap. Tom 625 thinking about a look, takes a look at the position, but he's just too far behind to fancy a go on the brakes. Meanwhile, further ahead, we've got another 3 cars all really close to each other. And besides the incident there caused by lag with the Red Bull, there wasn't really much to report. It was all just very close, very tense driving. And we actually have a scrap for the lead. I believe TRL Button's making a look at the inside. Oh no, Velocity's lost the plate and Button spun round. Button has gone off the track, and WRL Montoya filters into second place as a result of that, and he's been hit again! TRL Button went across XRL Button's by the looks of it, and as a result of that, XRL Fozzie of all people is now in P3, in P4, Nutters 91, looking up the inside there, and then we've got this Sauber, Stewart 949 being chased quickly by TRL Button, who at turn 5 looks like he's got the inside line for 6. Button looks to go around the inside. Stewart tries to wall of death on the outside. That's not going to work. He's actually going to lose a position to XRL Bobbert, who got better traction out of turn 6 as a result of that. And Stewart finds himself down in 7th place.
What actually happened there? I wasn't actually on board in that battle with TRL, but was anyone at fault for that?
It's really difficult to say because it looked like Velocity and Button had a duel into turn 1, and I don't know if it was a glitch or if maybe Button was hit or whatever, but he seemed to slide off the track almost like he was drifting. That pushed him off the circuit, and then unfortunately it appeared, I was looking from behind from WRL Montoya, and all I saw then was, I think it was one, oh, meanwhile XRL Stewart's lost it big time for turn 12, sorry. Totally lost the grip there, but managed to avoid hitting anybody. Good evasive driving, but he's not going to be happy. Going back to the incident, though, with TRL Button, I think as he was rejoining the track, he may then have been contacted by one of the Ferraris. I think it was XRL Bobbert, and as a result, those two have lost out massively. But TRL Button's now down in 5th place. He's on the outside. Oh, he's completely cut the final corner there. Went absolutely nowhere near the line. Obviously, the Red Bull, the Red Mist has descended. Nutters 91, meanwhile, staring at the back of XRL Fozzie, who's gone a little wide at turn 1. Nutters 91 thinks he's at the inside of the snail. Turn 2, we saw Mark Webber do this once on Paul the Rester. Going around the outside, turn 3. Has Nutters 91 on the prime tires got the grip? Yes, he has. That was an excellent piece of driving.
Indigo's keeping on to the back of these guys, and he's on the prime tyres, and he's doing a really good first stint.
Well, Nutters 91. Nutters 91 is on the prime tyres in P3, and he's only about 4 seconds adrift of Velocity and also WRL Montoya, who are both on the options. Nutters 91, out of nowhere, has become a potential candidate for the victory, providing he doesn't have any errors. We've got 52 laps to go, so it's a very long way in the race. But Nutters 91's done exactly what he needed to in the first part. On the stream, meanwhile, Writer's Tag says, I blame Codemasters. And Circle Watford says that's a horrendous corner cut from Button. I think he was referring to the one that I caught at turn 14. And evidently, it's got to make sure you don't do that too many times or you will be getting a penalty. It's pretty much a case of when rather than if.
Well, I have to say, yeah, Nutters is looking really good because these option tyres will be going off in the next 2 or 3 laps. They do significantly drop off by about that 6 and 7. So he's doing.
Mr. Indigo staring at the back of XRL LGS. He's got the DRS. LGS defence to the middle. Obviously concerned about the straight line speed difference there. Mr. Indigo's not able to get close enough down to turn 13. And the problem with the one down to turn 1 is if you're caught in the wrong line, you find it very easy to go off. We've already got someone in the pits. Who's that?
That looks like Fozzie and Sauber.
It could well be. Let's get on board. It is. It's XRL Fozzie, and it's a scheduled stop. He's stopped on lap 5.
Maybe to get out into some clean air.
Possibly, but meanwhile now XRL Bobbert's going up the inside. Stewart B949 at turn 2. There's contact between the two drivers there. XRL Bobbert's compromised, loses a lot of grip on the outside of 3 as a result. And for now, Stewart B949 retains 8th place, but XRL Bobbert's fancies a go here, deploying some curves. He's trying to go the outside line into turn 6. It is possible to go around the outside. XRL Bobbert's very late on the brakes, and he's off the circuit. He's outbraked himself and compromised, lost at least 4 seconds.
Oh, so that's the backward Stewart, was it? Here we are.
That was right there. Mr. Indigo, P7, looking at the back of Tom 625 in the Mercedes. And Tom 625 is on the option tyres, doing a decent job, but he's not quite catapulted up the grid like we're used to seeing from him. He's normally been the king of early stints and climbing up the places, but he's found it very difficult here in China. Mr. Indigo on the prime tyres, trying to get close to the back of that Mercedes.
Yeah, that's not necessarily true. He's 13th to 6th at the moment, so plus 7 for his first stint. Well, plus 6 for someone's in the pits, but when you look pace-wise, it's there. just got past Indigo about a lap ago.
Indigo's on a DRS underneath Tom 625 though. Indigo pulls out to the middle of the circuit, but I think he's going to be just too far behind. And the problem is that Tom 625 goes wide at turn 13, goes deep, but Indigo's just not got the traction to be able to punish the mistake there that Tom 625 made. And meanwhile, LGS is now in the pits. At least I think that's into the pits as well. So evidently these drivers not confident on the option tyres, really uncomfortable with the drop-off.
No, those option tyres just do not last around here at all, and it's such a high. You know, look at these sort of.
Tell you what, look at the back of this Nutters 91 now. He's only about 2 seconds adrift of WRL Montoya, and WRL Montoya is going to be in the DRS of Velocity. These guys are under real pressure here from Nutters 91. He's done an absolutely sensational job to get himself into P3. You can argue that, yes, TRL Button and XRL Roberts took themselves out of contention with their dueling, but that's beside the point. Whether they take each other out or not's not the issue. You still have to drive very well, and Nutters 91 has done great pace so far. As any moment, Mr. Indigo sidles up the back of Tom 625 again, going through turns 7 and 8. Just not got the grip, though, through the high-speed changes, but he seems to have better grip at the slow-speed corners. Tom 625 really struggled getting out of 9 and 10.
I'm on board with XRL Fearless. That early incident has cost him a lot, but he's starting to work his way up, and he's starting to get on to this Stewart and Roberts battle for P7 and 8, which are now getting Roberts.
Yeah, definitely, because Roberts has got a great chance because he saved all of his curves. So if he uses a good 75% of his bar and save a little bit for the final push, in fact, he's not even doing that. He's using all of it. This is all-out attack here from XRL Roberts. DRS flat wide open. A little bit of lag caused by the game there, not by the connection. Roberts, meanwhile, goes ahead for now, but can he stop the car? Meanwhile, Stewart advances to defend up the inside. Oh, was that all 4 tyres over the inside there from Stewart? That was marginal. Might have possibly done that to retain position. XRL Roberts, he's going to try down on the inside. In the final corner, side by side. They push each other off. That was always going to happen. But Stewart B949 looks to take up the inside, but Roberts has the DRS, which is going to get him the advantage down to turn 1. And that was, I'm not sure how clean that was. Both guys are a little clumsy, but Roberts makes a mistake at turn 1 that allows Stewart to get a tighter line into 2, and he might fancy a chance round 3 here as Roberts goes right, pushing really aggressively there on Stewart, not leaving an inch on the mile, and Stewart has to back out of that move.
He still won't give up on this though, Stewart. He's right on the back as Roberts has to take a couple of stabs at getting the car into that corner. Didn't look very stable getting into the corner there, but he's managed it. But Stewart is, yeah, he's starting to close that gap again.
Interestingly, Nutters 91 has set a better fastest lap than WRL Montoya, and Montoya is on the option tyres, so he's not been able to get the pace in that car. Moving further forward to Velocity, he's even faster than Velocity. Nutters 91 is actually outpacing the guys in first and second at the moment on pure raw pace. This is going to be interesting to see when the pit stops come into play here. On the screen, Sir Clark thinks fair racing between Roberts and Stewart, I think. And he thinks Stewart was just within the lines at turn 14. Well, it's up to be reviewed after the race, of course. It's hard to make a call live. But both drivers certainly seem to push each other. And Stewart now, I think, has realised he's a bit too far behind Roberts. And he's going to probably let this place go for now. Reese Tex, meanwhile, he's obviously not had the best of starts. He's down in 8th place. Not really gained any ground, but Ice Cold Andy down in P9. Evidently, that incident at turns 2 and 3 has come around. He almost goes off the track at turn 13.
Stewart's in, so he'll see where he comes out shortly. But yeah, let's work to the front.
Reese has gone in as well, and I believe so has XRL Roberts, so we get further ahead because Stewart's just gone in now. Not Roberts. TRL Button. TRL Button's in, and actually has been leapfrogged by Ice Cold Andy. Ice Cold Andy's gone ahead of TRL Button, who's now down in P9, and it's P8, and he's actually got XRL LGS on the prime tyres all over his gearbox.
Now is that Andy who hasn't done a stop yet because of that early incident?
I'd assume so. I think that's what's happened. On the screen, Sean Me22 says, this game needs better servers. It's not even funny anymore. Ouch.
We are the server. They don't have their own servers, do they? We're the host.
I have no idea how it all works. Writer's Tag, meanwhile, says he's not sure, but has the steward's report got put out? Last I heard, Elite had a problem with his computer, so the actual report is still being delayed, and he hoped to get it out by either the end of this race or the very latest by the time GP2 starts tomorrow evening. So keep your eyes peeled for that. XRL Fozzy, meanwhile, sizing up the back of Ice Cold Andy, who's not having fresh prime tyres versus Warren here.
Deep, and this is Nutters all over the back for P2 going towards the final corner. I expect more to diving into the box. He does, so does the race leader. So Nutters is our race leader.
Well, meanwhile, Ice Cold Andy, DRS flap open behind on Fozzy, and Fozzy fancies a look here but decides to think better of it. But Ice Cold Andy, who's struggling a lot, he's really finding it hard to get grip in that Williams, goes nearly off the track at turn 13. Ice Cold Andy is really suffering here, and we have seen Ice Cold Andy be very, very aggressive on his tyre strategy. I'm wondering if he's just going to go all out attack on options as XRL Fozzy uses the DRS and literally blasts past Ice Cold Andy like he's not even there. And meanwhile, XRL Fozzy is not too far behind WRL Montoya, who makes a big mistake into turn 2, goes a little too wide, and as a result of that, Ice Cold Andy behind the pair of them, sliding them up. XRL Fozzy fancies a go, but nearly lost the car going through turn 3 there. XRL Fozzy looking at the back of WRL Montoya into turn 6, and he gets on the brakes nice and late. Andy behind him almost went into the back of him, and Andy fancies a chance here. He's going up the faster line using his curves towards turn 7, and that's wonderful opportunistic driving there from Ice Cold Andy to snatch 6th place back.
Yeah, decent move there from Andy, just got the traction out. It's as if his tyres are new, but they're not, I don't think.
Oh, but Andy's made a big mistake at turn 9, got a little too wide. That's Comrades, that's to get out of the gas, and now XRL Fozzy is all over the back of him. And Fozzy, if he's smart, will remain in play, get the DRS, and try and do him down to turn 13. And if you can get close enough to WRL Montoya, he might be able to use the DRS towards turn 1 to follow away.
For the DRS.
Yeah, that's that TRL button not wasting any time there as XRL Fozzy goes wide at turn 13. But now we're going to see an interesting move here because that TRL button is using Ice Cold Andy with a DRS down towards turn 13. XRL Fozzy gets in the slipstream of the McLaren to try and take the same advantage. And Ice Cold Andy watches that position fall away, but he's not going to give up. Into turn 13, both drivers go wide, and XRL Fozzy gets hit by Ice Cold Andy, and he gets hit into TRL button as a result of that as well. Tom625 goes through to P7. WRL Montoya, meanwhile, has gone through as well. But TRL Button now down in 8th place. Disaster there.
Not as much of a disaster as probably Mr. Ice Cold Andy, who got... Well, that's got to be looked at again.
I'm not sure if that was a case of drivers returning to the track with clumsiness or not. But meanwhile, going behind there into turn 9, and XRL Fozzy has now lost out to his teammate Stewart. Evidently been compromised really badly as that the intra-team battle goes through turns 1 and 2. Sean Bean, meanwhile, wants you to explain the text that you've sent to him.
I'll speak to him later.
That's his explanation. And Ice Cold Andy has pitted and come out in 13th on the option tyres after only 10 laps.
He was virtually last after the spin anyway. He's had a pretty unfortunate race, but we'll have a look at the penalties afterwards. Has anyone picked up a penalty for this? Looks
I've
like
no idea.
Has actually so far. So
XRL Bobbert has got velocity all over his back, and Moritz goes wide at turn 12. That's going to allow velocity to dial at the inside, and I believe the velocity was actually behind XRL Bobbert going over the detection line for DRS. As a result, I do not see Bobbert being able to get close. Indeed, he does not have the DRS. And now, but the problem is with the lag, I don't know if Velocity's pulling away from him. Heading in towards the hairpin at turn 13, Velocity gets on the inside. XRL Bobbert's just too far behind to make the move.
Well, I think a big shout out has to go to NMR Mr. Indigo. He's on the primes, he's done the same strategy so far as Nutters. The gap's only about 7 seconds, something like that. That's pretty good.
TRL Bottom, meanwhile, goes over the inside of turn 14 again. That's the second time I've seen him do that now. This is good. He's got to be careful. He isn't doing that too often. If he is, that will be a penalty, because that's a sizable advantage. Indeed, he gets a very good look at the back of Tom625, going wide at turn 1, trying to drive around the outside of 2 to get the better line into 3, and it looks like it's going to work here, because Tom625 has been compromised. TRL Button goes through, but the argument will wage on as to whether that was set up by an illegal track move.
He's now going to have a look at the Ferrari, though.
Meanwhile, XRL Fozzy in P10 has actually got XRL Fearless and the Red Bull all over, and Fearless will be slamming the steering wheel. Meanwhile, big mistake there from Fozzy. He's gone way too deep at turn 6, and Fearless goes, well, thank you very much, I'll take that. So he's straight through, going through turns 7 and 8, and a chance now for Fearless to get that power down and try and get himself back into this. Reese 26, meanwhile, in 12th position. He's really been compromised, and Ice Cold Andy way behind in the Williams on the faster tyre, though, so he might be able to use this to advantage, but he's going to be in a real need a miracle to get a chance of getting anywhere near the podium here today. WRL Montana goes past XRL Bobbert. XRL Bobbert's on the outside. WRL Montana's a little too wide at turn 12. Well, that's a good solid move from the McLaren driver. Moving behind now, we got a 3-car scrap as TR Button goes very close to going off the track there. LGS just didn't get the traction to pull away from him, and that's a good move for TR Button. He gets through. Tom 65 has DRS on XRL LGS, but he's just not close enough to make any kind of inroad. LGS tries to make the same move on TRO Button, but that McLaren's just a little too far away.
LGS not getting such a good line out of turn 2 there, and well, into silly incidents with people.
I'm wondering if he's getting a problem with connection where he's not seeing cars where they actually are on track, and he's seeing wedges that are different to everybody else. He's going for it, and the next thing, he's spinning round. I mean, we don't know if we know that China has a problem on the back straight where the DRS zone is, that you do see a lot of lag there. We've seen it on the screen so far. Now, I'm wondering if he's seeing anything else. I mean, Nutters, our host, has done everything he can to make his connection as smooth as possible, but that doesn't mean that the connections to him are going to be any better.
Whoever the host is, it'll always happen in that back straight.
But all I'm saying is, because you've got that glitch already causing potential issues, if someone's got a little dicky connection, that could exacerbate it and see other problems elsewhere in the lab.
Yeah, it could
and I'm wondering if TRO Button's got that problem. Meanwhile, XRL Fozzie is trying to do what he can to catch up to the back of XRL Fearless, and he's got the DRS. Well, that Red Bull's gone away from him a bit there. I'd say our gap's close to a second now, and if XRL fails and gets good traction out of turns 13 and 14, he might do enough to get the gap he needs to put Fozzie into the dust. But Fozzie's got a good line out of 13.
Bobbitt has done 12 laps on his first stint, and he calls it time on that first stint.
XRL Fearless doesn't get away from Fozzie sufficiently. He's got the DRS, and Fozzie's actually closed up here. So evidently, Fozzie's car is set up more for the lower drag style rather than the middle sector. Now, this is one of the issues with China. Which way to go? Do you try and pull away in Sector 2, or do you use it to catch up in Sector 3?
It'll be interesting to see how many more laps these guys in the prime go. First and second, that's NMR, Mr. Indigo and Nutters. Valexi, he's about a second and a half behind NMR, Mr. Indigo now, so he's going to get DRS very, very shortly.
So, you know, Tom 65, meanwhile, catching up quickly to the back of XRL LGS and the Ferrari, doing what he can to try and get some decent points here, Tom 65. Goes a little wobbly out of turn 10, almost goes off the track there. Got to be careful you don't catch yourself out. And meanwhile, it looks like we've got another battle here moving further forward. And I think that is actually going to be Velocity looking at the back of NMR Mr. Indigo. Indeed it is. Velocity's easily blown past him on the straight to turn 13. Question is, can NMR Mr. Indigo do anything on the back straight? No, he's had to filter into third place. For now, though, considering where he started, he'll be more than happy with that.
He still goes, though. Indigo's still staying out.
It's a question of whether anyone's going to try and free-stop this race. You'd expect most people to four-stop it. But if you get enough life out of the tyres, you may be able to make it into a three-stop. And that could be enough in the later part of the race. It's going to be a question of who's gone for the more aggressive strategies here. Evidently, we're seeing that Velocity's very much on an aggressive strategy. He's gone for another set of option tyres. He's not running the primes as much as the other guys out front, so it's tortoise versus hare. Meanwhile, in 6th place, XRL LGS has now got Tom 625 in the Mercedes, closing him down very, very quickly. Tom 625 evidently liking these tyres. And LGS, meanwhile, big shout out to him, because he didn't have the best of qualifying, but he's doing a decent job running in P6 at the moment.
And he's starting to close that gap for P12. Can't believe it. I can't believe you'd be saying that. P12 has just had an absolutely dreadful start to the first few races this season.
Well, speaking of positions then, we've done a question from Sir Clark to get a rundown while he gets a beer. Why not? So Nutters 91 leads the race at the moment, and we've got Velocity in second place, but he's pitted, whereas Nutters 91 has not. And Mr. Indigo in third, another one is not stopped. WR Montoya, he's the second of the stoppers in fourth place. CRO Button is in fifth, having gotten too many incidents so far in this race. XRL yes is in sixth place. Seventh is Tom 625. XRL Stewart, meanwhile, doing a decent job subbing in the F1 division. He's in eighth place. XRL Fearless, who's not happy where he is at the moment, he's down in P9. And then XRL Fozzie rounds off the top 10 as Reese 26 tries to claw his way back into the points after a poor first stint. XRL Roberts is in 12th, and then, as we said before, Ice Cold Andy, stone dead last. But he's actually 2 seconds quicker in fastest lap than XRL Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts has only just come out of the pit, so that lap time will improve. But he's actually set the quickest lap of the race so far, Andy. But not by much, only by...
As Nutters 91 has gone into the pits and changed to option tyres. Nutters 91 has blinked on the end of the 14th lap. Comes out in 6th place, about 3 seconds adrift of Tom 625 and XRL LGS, and he's got a good bit of clean air for now. A good opportune moment to get out, get your tyres up to temperature, and then attempt to blast past. That could be an absolute critical strategy call there from Nutters 91 to get the air that he did.
Tom 625 is all over the back of LGS here for P4. Impressive to see these guys fighting so high up. TRL Button is very close to the net lead of this race. Probably about 6 or 7 seconds off. He's just been in the wars today.
It's one of those things, at the end of the day, it's all well and good being one of the fastest drivers you are, but if you can't keep your car on the track, you've got no chance. Anyone who watched yesterday's 6 hours of Spa will tell you that Mark Webber was one of the faster drivers for the Porsche 919 team. That's fine, but if your car's in the garage and you lose 23 laps, you've got no chance of winning, as he found out. And speaking of that, my Le Mans tickets arrived today. Woo!
Ooh, good. When is that?
So Tom that's on the weekend of the 14th and the 15th of June. As Tom 625 with DRS Open looks to go around the outside of turn 13. He's committed to the deep alignment. He's going to have marbles all over the tyres. And the XRL LGS goes, you're not in that position, matey. We're heading into turn 14, the end of the lap here. LGS stays out as the Tom's... Oh! LGS hit the bollard and I went under Tom 625's car. That almost threw him off the track, but Tom 625 somehow gets the traction and the DRS down towards turn 1, but has to back out of the move. Oh! LGS makes a mistake, slows in the middle of the track. Tom 625's hit him twice now. Tom 625's got to be careful here, or else he could be accused of hitting someone off the road. And Nutters 91 has now caught on the pair of them as Reese 26 has lost connection. Whether that was a loss of connection or a quit, I don't know. But Nutters 91 fancies a dive on the inside of Tom 625, and he makes that look easy into turn 6. Nutters 91 on the fresh option tyres now should be quickly gobbling up XRL LGS. Question is, how quickly is he going to do it after turns 7, 8, 9 and 10, where there's no real passing space? Into turns 9 and 10 now, LGS going all over the track, left to right, doing what he can to hold Nutters up. Nutters will be shaking his fist under the helmet, and now he's pulling out to the left. He fancies to go into turn 11, thinks better of it with the DRS zone so close though.
He'll get a good drive out here, and possibly even overtaking the full DRS, I think.
Here we go, he's going to use the DRS, he's going to use the curves here, surely. Yeah, there goes the curves now, gets right in the slipstream, pulls out to the left. And to the right, sorry, DRS. But look at the speed that LGS got there. Did you see that? He must have saved his curves to try and defend. But Nutters 91 with the DRS flap home, heading into turn 13. He's got the inside line. Nutters 91, can you keep it on the track?
Yeah.
Ooh, just about. Goes very close to the edge there. Well, that was a good piece of driving. He takes into 5th place and now a great 4th place, sorry. A great opportunity to get some clean laps. Tom 625 is going to have the DRS on the back of LGS, who's also got it on Nutters 91. Nutters 91's now got a chance to drive away because those fresh tyres will be better through the first part of the lap. Despite that, he goes a little wide on Nutters 91. Nutters is still not completely comfortable. XRL just had a look at him, but has to back out the move.
You're quite surprised Nutters hasn't made those, well, he's just starting to make it count now that his opening, but I would have thought he would have made a bit of a gap.
Stewart's just made a big mistake and got off the track at turns 1 and 2. I wonder if he's not pitted yet and he's being caught out here. XRL Fearless, meanwhile, has got the car in 9th place. but he's being chased very quickly by XRL Bobbitts and the sister Ferrari, who's on the option tyres. XRL Bobbitts far back good at the inside of turn 6, but hits the curb, and that nearly spins the car. Oh, and XRL Fearless gives him a little kiss with the tyres there, as if to say, not on my back time, Nelly. But in the meantime, we're 7 and 8, and not XRL Bobbitts fancy trying to drive around the outside of 8. Backs out of it when he realises he's going to go off into the stratosphere, but that was very, very aggressive driving. It's a big mistake from Fearless, and Bobbitts now has a chance heading into the DRS zone.
Yeah, these three, they got Stewart just in front on the prime tyres, so these three extremely close at the moment out on track. 17 laps.
XRL Bobbitts has got a great opportunity for a double overtake here. He's gone straight away for Fearless. He's not waiting for that Red Bull, and now he's going to get into the slipstream for the Sauber. The question is, will he pull away enough from XRL Fearless, who hits the flap at the same time? Watch out for the lagging car, you don't want to hit the back of that. Heading in towards turn 13, and ahead of them, Bobbitts makes a late look at the inside of Stewart and nearly has to back out of the move completely, and that almost catches Fearless out, but Fearless more than wary and makes sure he doesn't hit him. Good driving. And that ball now is floating in space on my screen.
Yeah, I get that every couple of laps. Bobbitts' lap times are seriously being affected. Good 2 seconds off his best that lap.
Stewart, he's forced Stewart to go to the outside. He's dummied the move. Now, will XRL RGS follow him through here as a result of that? Yes, he will, because Stewart's gone off the track. So XRL Fearless profiting from the great piece of tactical driving there from Bobbitts. Really, really good. Meanwhile, in P6, we've still got Tom 625 and XRL LGS all over each other like a rash. And of course, these two be spooning. Heading through turns 7 and 8, and XRL LGS getting slightly better drive there. Tom 625 lost a bit of time in sector 2, but then LGS makes a mistake at 9, nearly goes off the track at 10, and as a result, now Tom 625 really caught it to the back of him, and he's going to have a great shot down towards turn 13. On the stream, meanwhile, Sir Clarkford says, "Go on, Bobbitts, from Barrow with love." Haha. This was the guy who said, "Get a room," before. As you know, it was Clarves who said it, so I'll take it back. But Tom 65 heading into the DRS zone now. Open, heading for unity on the Ferrari. There goes the edge, and he's going to get closer and closer. LGS defends to the middle of the track. Nothing in the rule that says you can't defend to the middle, and that's actually very intelligent, because Tom 65 has tried to go around the outside, and all he's done is go off the track and get marbles on the tyres. LGS is evidently not going to make it easy, and both guys go in at the same time. LGS now almost goes into the gravel like Pastor Maldonado did, but manages to just hold it away from the wall.
Pastor Maldonado's a funny guy.
I'll tell you what he is. He's absolutely useless. Now, Nose 91 in P4, trying to catch up quickly to the back of TRO Button. He's on the option tyres, Button is on the primes. But Button's not making this easy, because he's reeling in his teammate at a fast rate of knots. And Velocity now has got a pretty solid lead here. So if Velocity stays on the prime tyres to the end, he could be in the pound seats for victory. But again, we've seen the masterful driving, we've seen the pace that TRO Button can pull out of the car. If there's anyone you'd expect to pull out of nowhere, he's possibly it.
You'd have to think in TRL Button's point of view, he has to clear his teammate before Nutters gets on the scene, because Nutters is flying. 37.8 is his fastest lap.
Yeah, whereas TRL Button's a 38.5.
Yeah, so that is about the second difference on the tyres, just under, so...
Well, TRL Button's looking at the back of his teammate, who's about, I'd say, maybe 2 seconds ahead of him on track at the moment. So TRL Button's definitely got an opportunity. He's got to keep it clean, he's got to keep it consistent now, and at the same time, Velocity's not that much further ahead. Oh, speaking of clean and consistent, he almost goes... At the track. Hello. He fancies a great opportunity here. Meantime, Writer's Tag, he's going to get some heat here. He says that Sean Bean is a Maldonado fan.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me, but Valexi's in the pits and he's out again, and he's going to come out in 4th place, or is he? No, 5th place, probably in quite clear road though. Let's see where he comes out.
TRO Button's now in 2nd place on my screen.
Yeah, Valexi's
in the pit. Oh, Velocity's gone in the pits, right.
Velexi did option, remember. Valexi's
and he's got an options again!
This is an odd strategy, I mean, yeah...
And Enema Mr. Indigo is all over his gearbox, so Enema Mr. Indigo, he's not going to make it easy here. If he gets past Velocity, he's going to be badly compromised.
Yeah, that's massive for the race though, just to get out in front. You would think he'd probably pull out about half a second before the DRS. That would be enough to keep him ahead this lap. And he already,
the good thing for Velocity here is he's got quite a lot of clean air between him and Nutters 91. I'd say a good 7 or 8 seconds there. And Nutters 91 is now all over the back of TRL Button. So this is where we're going to see the difference between the tyres. And how good can Button be under pressure? Answer, not very good, because he's gone wide at turn 12. And on the banking here, Kerr's being deployed by Nutters 91. But oh, look at how close their tyres were there. That was right on the edge there. And TRL Button drifting to the right. Nutters 91 has to pull even closer to the inside. He won't be happy about that. But with the DRS, the touch to wheels again, these two are giving absolutely no quarter into turn 13. But Nutters 91 has got the high ground and takes that important second place. Now the question is, can TRL Button do him in the second DRS zone? No, he can't, 'cause he's going into the box. TRL Button has gone off the track as well, clipped the gravel going into the pits. And that's going to cost him a little bit of time there, and that's going to also make him worry about what kind of tyres he's going on. Is he going on the primes or the options? Let's watch.
Quick question with Button. He's going on
prime tyres, primes.
The quick question I have with him is, Velexity did option and did 19 laps. Button did option prime with a 1 extra lap.
Exactly, that makes you wonder. We did say before, mechanical grip is so important, especially with the likes of turns 1 and 2. You really need to be able to get close to these guys. And Nutters 91 is not too far away from WRO Montoya, so we could see some fireworks for the lead here. Meanwhile, someone sent me a message on stream. Oh yes, BHA Cappenwaiter says, as is a McLaren, he's cheering on his team leaders, and a big shout out for the Tier 6 drivers who are watching the stream. It's not just Tier 6, there's a big shout out to any of you guys who are watching. Whether you watch on Channel 2 or Channel 1, whatever division you're in, you're all welcome. Get your comments in the box, we'll do our best to get through them.
Got a little battle for 8th and 9th out there. Tom625 and LGS, I think that is, on their ongoing scrap.
Those two have been nailed together for like the last 10 laps. They've been really putting in the laps together and really tested each other out.
He's actually overtook LGS since the pit stops that they had about 3 laps ago. And they're both closing in on the Sauber of Stewart very quickly.
Meanwhile, Nutters 91 has really reeled in WRO Montoya ahead of him. He's got the option tyres on as well, don't forget Nutters, so he's on the faster strategy at this point of the race. But WRO Montoya, he's going to try and keep it together. Nutters 91 goes a little wide at turn 14 there. You've got to make sure you don't do that too often. But he's now in the DRS zone. So this is his opportunity to try and retake the lead. And it's going to be fascinating to see who's going to be where at the end of the race. Because of the reverse strategies that people have employed, who's actually got the net lead at the moment? It's really difficult to know.
Well, we think Valexi's got the net lead, but he's gone on about 25 sets of options off this first. You know, he's going to have to go to the primes at some point. He can't keep doing that. He'll simply lose too much time in the pits. As Nutters 91 is really close up to WRO Montoya through Sector 1. There's now maybe 2 tenths between them. He was quite a big way behind that before. Nutters 91 has now got a real shot at the lead here, heading for turns 7 and 8. Nutters 91 gets so much better grip. He has to get out of the gas in turn 8 as WRO Montoya nearly spins the car going into turn 9. Montoya's really a man under pressure at the moment as he go out of turn 10, heading into 11. Let's see if Nutters 91 fancies a late dive. No, he thinks better of it. He's hanging on for the DRS. WRO Montoya is really going to be a liability here. And Nutters 91 might fancy a move. Oh, WRO Montoya chops across him for a turn 12. And Nutters 91 has to filter into the zone. Montoya's made one change of direction. He's gone back to the middle and then back again. He's made quite a lot of changes of direction here, Montoya. He's got to be careful. He's not guilty as seen of making too many changes, or you can get a penalty for that. No, there's 91 to do with clearing him there. Or he could just go and pit. I think he'd be happy with that.
Well, Nutters 91 heading into the final corner. He's just behind WRO Montoya, who gets a bit too much on the curb and nearly spins the car there. Gets a lot of tail slip. Nutters 91 with a DRS follow-up, and he's deployed some curves. He wants to get past into turn 1, last of the late breakers. Can he get the car stopped for turn 2? So he's going to be critical. Who's going to have the inside line for 3? The answer is Nutters 91. He takes the lead, but will WRO Montoya be able to put him under enough pressure to retake it later on in the lap?
I think you'll find that that's it for Montoya. He's on primes. They've been doing a lot of laps those primes. Quick shout out for Velexity again. He's about 3 seconds off these two. He's on brand new, pretty much 2 laps old tyres. TRL button is about 10 seconds off, 15 seconds off. He's actually behind Bobberts in P6 with NMR Mr. Indigo. Big shout out for him. He's actually running P4 currently on a set of option tyres. And
He's doing a great job, isn't he?
Well,
LGS makes a look at the inside of Tom 625 at turn 6, gets on the inside line and makes that work. These two, they might be battling for the lower points, but they don't care. They're treating this like a GT race in Le Mans here. They're literally battling with each other every single lap. This is really good stuff to watch.
What I was saying with NMR Mr. Indigo is he seems to make his tyres last more than one and seems to get reasonable performance out of them as well. I mean, to be only, 5 seconds, maybe 7 or 8 seconds behind WRL Montoya, who's on the same sort of strategy.
Yeah, exactly. It's difficult to know, isn't it? Tom 625, meanwhile, has got a... he gets a lot of snap oversteer there. Don't know how he's managed that. Going through turn 12, he almost went left into the wall. Really got to be careful. He's going to DRS here on LGS. Flap goes wide open. There's someone in the pits ahead of us. I'm not sure who that is. That might be Indigo, actually, who might have gone in from 4th position. Tom 625 fancies a move on the inside. Turn 13, but LGS, once again... Stalwart defence from LGS. XRL Bobberts is in the box, is it?
So it's Montoya who's pit for new city tyres. Bobberts has just gone into the pits as well.
DRS open from Tom 625. Looking at the back of XRL LGS, who's been... he moves right and the left. WRL Montoya's only just ahead of him, and LGS nearly rear ends him as a result of the way he comes out of the pits there. I actually really don't like the pit lane design here at China. The way it filters into turn 1 is really dangerous. Reminds me a lot of India's, which is just as dangerous.
Yeah, that's pretty awful as well. I mean, they could possibly... I don't know what they could do with that turn.
There's lots of things they can do, but as I say, it's Herman Tilke for you. He always seems to focus on stupid gimmicks rather than the important things. It's like, how many viewers knew this? Did you know that turns 1, 2 and 3 are so designed because they look like the character for number 11 in China, in Chinese language?
Really?
That's the reason that corner is the way it is. Because it looks like the number 11, which apparently is lucky in that area of China.
Every number's lucky in China.
Well, that's what I thought, so what's the point? Why don't you make a proper corner? So meanwhile, Tom 625 looks at the back of LGS, who's also trying to get closer and closer to the back of WRL Montoya. And WRL Montoya, despite being on the fresher rubber, doesn't seem to be dropping that Ferrari too easily at the moment. Evidently, he's finding it difficult to get the heat in these tyres. Meanwhile, Sean Bean and Ryan having a bit of a ding-dong on the stream here, with Sean Bean saying, screw you, language I can't repeat due to the fact we've got sponsors. Then after that, Sean is the DNF master according to rioters, and yet more dirty language that I can't repeat due to the fact we have sponsors. Guys, if you want your messages read out, keep it clean.
Yeah, Sean, you should know better.
XRL Bobberts in P9, meanwhile, is under pressure from XRL Fozzie. XRL Fozzie goes a little wide at turn 14. He's been having a quiet race ever since he early got into like P3 or 4. He's really fallen down the field, but he's got a great chance at turn 1, but has to back out on the move because he just realised he was going to go over the grass. But ahead of him, as a result of that, XRL Bobberts has been compromised between 2 and 3, but Fozzie is just not able to get close enough to attempt to move.
So we're getting towards the halfway point for Velexity now. He's pretty much got a pit stop over Nutters 91, but Velexity will have to run these prime tyres at some point. I'm thinking
but
he
again,
might make one more stop and try and...
Has Nutters 91, even if he's nearly a pit stop behind, is he going to do one less stop though and eradicate the advantage? That's the question to ask here, because Nutters 91 seems to not be stopping anywhere near as much.
That is definitely a good point. Velexity is either struggling with poor tyre wear, or he's trying to get constant undercuts and build enough gap so when he does go on the prime...
Both drivers have gone wide at turn 14 though. We've seen a lot of drivers doing this as Velocity started weaving these tyres on the pit straight with the DRS flap open. Viewers, that's living dangerously. Weaving with your tyres with the flap open is not recommended. Very, very easy to spin the car if you do that.
Into the car, I don't know. I think he's been
we saw the
a few laps now.
The Bronze did this in the early part of 2009 season. I remember it was, I think it was at Silverstone, where both drivers were literally weaving on the straights down towards Cops as a way of trying to get heat in the tyres because they had that tyre heating problem. It's unusual to see it, though. It's not very often you see that from drivers.
Now, apparently it doesn't lose you much time, but it must lose you quite a bit on the straights.
Velocity gets a better run for turn 7 and 8 there, as Nutters 91 makes a mistake. And Velocity may have tapped him there. Nutters 91, oh, looking at the inside of turn 10 there. Velocity sees the wedge closing and backs out of it.
I think Velocity didn't want to make that move because of the little nudge. He just backed off, knowing that the DRS is coming up. He's got, look at this, he's going to get so much
He's going to get so much better grip, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, look at that there. We saw Nutters 91 do this earlier on TRL Button. And Velocity goes right to the inside of the track there. Evidently, he wants to be able to avoid that. And despite not having DRS, Nutters 91 is fighting back. He's not giving up here. Well, ahead of him, Velocity's going to have the high ground into the chicane, into the hairpin. And he goes a little wide, though. Nutters 91, I don't think he's going to have the grip in the tyres to fight back, though.
No, those tyres mean...
Yeah, it's got him. He's instantly dived in. As soon as he saw he was getting himself past, he thought, there's no point trying to hang on to these. I'm going to get them changed. Riding on board with Nutters, then. Let's see what tyres he goes for. Is he going to stick with the faster options? Or is he going to try and go to a longer strategy with the prime tyres? Because he's got a lot of chances here. And he goes for option tyres. He goes straight for the faster ones. As WRL Montoya goes past into P3, so Nutters 91, yeah.
To the Ferrari.
XRL, yes, behind him. Nutters 91 has come literally half a nose ahead of him. And actually, LGS lost a lot of momentum there. Well, that was key, you mean? Yeah, it was. It was absolutely crucial to avoid being stuck behind the slower drivers. Not to say that head to the front runners, especially when you're trying to fight for the win, you do not want to be held up in traffic. It's the last thing you want here.
See, we don't know who's going to win this race, and Nutters is quite a way off the sort of guys that he's racing with. Button, Montoya, a good 5
But you have to remember, ahead, look at Velocity. He was way behind, and then once the grip in these tyres came to him, he started eating into the pace and really reeling them in. It seems like it's one of those tyres where we saw. We look at the previous laps where WRL Montoya only just came out ahead of LGS and did not drop him for a full lap. So that's a lot of time potentially lost there, you'd think. You'd expect the fresh tyres to literally launch you away, but they don't seem to get the grip straight away here. And I get the feeling that the drivers now are finding that out the hard way and are trying to drive around it.
I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if Velocity goes in the pits for options again next time.
Well, if he does, he's going to be in real danger of throwing his race away.
Or he'll go in the last stint. I think he'll go prime option or option prime. He wants not to race on those prime tyres at all.
It's a surprise, man, because we've seen both LGS and Tom625 driving very quickly. In fact, Tom625's got the DRS on XRL LGS heading towards turn 1. LGS and the Ferrari got the inside line. Tom625 tries to go around the outside. Just about finds the grip into turn 1, but can he slow it down enough into 2? LGS is on the inside, but that's going to give Tom625 the title line to 3. LGS, though, is not giving up. Fancy's driving around the outside. Some curves in there, still side by side. And to head towards turn 5. Great opportunity here for LGS if he can get on the inside for turn 6. Tom625 commits to the outside line. And that's sensational driving for LGS to hold him off there. Absolutely wonderful.
Was that to hold him off, or was that to make the actual move? Because I don't know who.
Well, he did get ahead. Tom625 did actually get ahead briefly into turn 1, but then forced himself wide before turn 2. And LGS somehow managed to set that move up. Really good, fair, and very clean driving throughout. If any of you were watching that in the lower divisions, that's the driving standard to emulate, because that was superb.
Tom625, he's second in the championship at the moment. It's absolutely unbelievable how he's just sort of made the step up. I keep saying it every week, but you know, he's in P6 this week, fighting for 10 points again. I mean, he's doing well.
As the great Muddy Talker used to say, to finish first you got to finish. In his case, like finish third, finish second, at the end of the day, he's made it to the flag. Whereas the guys like Velocity, the guys like Ice Cold Andy, have either been not getting there at all, or getting there after a lot of incidents, and being way down the field. So it just goes to show that being smooth and controlled can get you through it. And again, I bring up this a lot, but it's like driving at Le Mans. Sometimes you've got to have the stint, which is all about consistency overall. Anthony Davidson did that for Toyota yesterday, putting in the blustering laps to give his teammates, Nicolas Lapierre, the chance to hold off for the final stint. Those critical performances build your race, and Tom 625 seems to have that.
Just on board with Andy. He's now currently P9, so working his way slowly up the pack. He does seem to have good pace today.
Tom 65 fancies getting close to the back of LGS, heading into turn 6. But LGS, once again, just doing enough to fight him off there, going through turn 6 and pulling out into the traction zone. That Ferrari seems to be well set up for pulling that car along and dragging it out of trouble. And the thing we've got to affect as well is we do have the light cloud. There's no threat of rain, but the cloud's there. If that keeps the temperatures low, maybe that's why the likes of velocity and the grip.
He is keeping an eye on these two battling. He's on much pressure tyres, so you'd think he needs to make his move now. I would be surprised if
Tom 625.
Indigo tries to go to the end on this, you know.
Well, that's more than half the race distance. I'll be very surprised if he can make a set of tyres last that long. He's been known to save his tyres, well, even that'll be a bit of a stretch. As Tom 65 with a DRS, LGS defence to the middle of the track, heading in towards turn 13. LGS is just planting that car in the place that Tom 65 doesn't want it. LGS driving extremely intelligently here. There's nothing in the rules that says you have to go left or right. There's nothing about that. All you have to do is make sure you're keeping the car within the lines. And LGS makes his move, defence to the middle of the track, and that forces you as a driver behind. You're always going to the extreme outside or the extreme inside line. And look at Tom 65 there. He's actually lost grip at both turn 1 and 2. And that's now actually got him under massive pressure from NMR Mr. Indigo, who's caught right to the back of him because of that one mistake. And in fact, Indigo fancies a chance, heading out of turn 5, going in towards turn 5 itself. It's a great opportunity on the outside for 6 in the hairpin. Can he make this car stop? Yes, he can. Great drive from Indigo there. Very opportunistic.
Tom just sort of waved the white flag there, just sort of gave up on that and let him go. You know, it was sort of non-existent, depending on that pass.
Well, Jenson Button said that when he came 5th in China in 2013, he was kind of like he was driving for Le Mans Prototype 2 versus Le Mans Prototype 1, where he was deliberately not fighting people. I wonder if Tom 625 is trying that kind of strategy. Let these guys battle, save his tyres a little bit, and maybe just get enough out to make the distances go a bit longer, and sneak into a higher position on pure strategy. But he can't do that for too long, because he has also got someone very close behind him. Who is that in P8?
Bobbitt.
That's actually XRL Bobbitt, and we've seen that he's a very good driver, very handy in the pace. And also, NMR Mr. Indigo, DRS wide open on LGS. First opportunity, and he's not waiting around at all. He's now gone to the middle, taking a leaf out of LGS's book and using it against him. That's going to infuriate him. They say that imitation is the best form of flattery, but XRL LGS will not be happy about that as he goes wide at turn 14. How many drivers have done that so far in this race?
Big hands up to Alexei. He's actually gone on to prime tyres.
Well, he had to at some point, otherwise he'd be in danger of running a used pair of options. And we saw that in the wet in the GP2 race last week at Malaysia. You can't afford to be caught out on worn tyres that you've used in a stint before. So he's had to do it purely for the fact that he's running out of tyres. But again, Nutters 91 in P3 on the option tyres is not far ahead of him, maybe 4 seconds. So Velocity's done a very good strategy here. I don't understand it, but it's worked.
Well, it's constant undercuts, that's the plan, isn't it? I'm not completely bought over by the fact that I don't think he can win this race with the amount of pit stops he's having. We will have to pick once more.
Well, Nutters 91 now has got close to the back of WRL Montoya. WRL Montoya really struggling with the grip, but Nutters 91 just not close enough to be a threat at this point. Give it another 2 laps though, and he could be all over him.
Sure.
Heading further back through the field, behind Bobbers in P7, we've got Ice Cold Andy now in P8, who's gone ahead of XRL Stewart. Now that's a battle I never thought I'd ever commentate on. Ice Cold Andy versus XRL Stewart, based off where these positions were this race. He's really fallen. Ice Cold Andy in P8 is, meanwhile, behind them, XRL Fearless in P11, running outside the points, staring at the back of Tom 625 and the Mercedes. But Tom 625 is on the fresh tyres now, and it's a great opportunity for him to try and pull away and get the undercut on LGS and make sure he can get that position on pure strategy. Meanwhile, Stewart tries to drive around the outside of Ice Cold Andy at the final corner. They're side by side heading towards turn 1, but Andy's going to have the DRS, and that should give him the better pace. But Stewart's not giving up, not intimidated by the world champion, going around through turn 1 and 2, and Stewart unbelievably makes that work. Wow!
Well, Stuart made why make it stick down the straight? Stuart braving it out
We saw Kamui Kobayashi do that to Sebastian Vettel like the Chinese Grand Prix. Evidently Stewart started to get in on the same kind of action. I don't care if you're the world champion, I don't care if you're going to be faster, I'm quicker than you at the moment, get out of the way. And that's exactly what Ice Cold Andy's done all over him. He's not going to be happy about that. But he is going to have the chance on the DRS to take that position back here. Heading through turn 11 as Stewart goes a little wide on the entry to 12 as a result of that. So Ice Cold Andy was sizing him up here, but he needs to make this clean because it seems that Stewart's not afraid of him and he will fight him despite being a late replacement driver. Stewart is not intimidated.
and I am currently on board with he's closing up to Tom. Give that another lap, that'll be quite close. And as you said, we've got Andy and Stewart who...
Andy wasn't actually closing up to the back of Stewart then, despite having the DRS. He seems to... I wonder if he's gone for a slightly higher drag and lower top speed setup here. Going through turn 14, indeed Stewart's got about half a second on him. And heading on towards turn 1, I don't think Andy's going to get enough speed here to pull up alongside him. Indeed he doesn't. So Stewart's held him off for a full lap. Good driving. Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, we've got a bit of a three-car scrap going on here because Velocity has caught up very close to the back of Nutters, who's now very close to the back of WRL Montoya. So we've got a three-way scrap for second place here. As Velocity, he's on the fresher tyres, and they are primes, so he's not going to be too worried about the wear here. Now, meanwhile, both WRL Montoya and also Nutters 91 pulling to the right side of the track. Velocity's got the DRS open, but Nutters 91 fancies a move up the inside of WRL Montoya, had gone around the outside of turn 13. Montoya defends to the middle of the track. He's going to force Nutters over as XRL Bobbers loses connection in the middle of the battle. Up ahead, meanwhile, Velocity makes a mistake at turn 13, goes wide, and oh! Both XR Nutters 91 and WRL Montoya contact at turn 14, and Nutters 91 goes way off the track, gets a load of marbles, and Velocity with DRS fancies a chance into turn 1 here. Velocity committing to the outside line, Nutters 91 makes a mistake, and Velocity changes direction beautifully to take the inside line for turn 2. They're going to be side by side into turn 3 here. Velocity compromised on the outside line, but he might use the toe of Montoya. Oh, side pod glitch! Nutters 91 hit the car, and Velocity goes round.
They should know about that by now, mate. That's all helping TRL button out, I'll tell you that much.
Velocity's not going to be happy there. Unbelievably close.
Where is TRL button in all of this? He's currently running...
Yeah, meanwhile, BHA Cap and White has weighed in on the Tom 625 debate, saying you don't have to be super fast. He's saying you could do 135s all the time, but if you've got to pit 5 or 6 times, it's not going to help you. Well, again, as I said before, like at Le Mans, sometimes you've got to race a couple of seconds slower, save your engine, save your tyres, and then push for those final stints when everybody else's cars might start to break down. But see how our button is in P5, having gone into the box here. He'll have been helped out by the side pod glitch to Velocity. That's cost Velocity at least 2 seconds. So that's not time that Velocity can afford to lose, really.
Quite quickly, but yeah, it's definitely cost him.
Tom 625 and XRL LCS are still absolutely nailed to each other. These two have been staring at the back of each other's cars now for a good 20 laps. These two will be like, just get out of my way and let me go. These two will be sick of the sight of each other by the end of it, but they've been putting on fantastic driving all day. As LGS makes a look at the side of Tom 625 into turn 13, and he's on the option tyres, whereas Tom 625 is on the prime. LGS has got a chance, but Tom 625 is going to keep getting DRS, courtesy of NMR Mr. Indigo. Oh, XRL Phil is sorry ahead of him. LGS had a good look at Tom 625, got a tighter line into turn 2, but that's put him on the wide line through turn 3, and as a result, the slingshot effect out of 4 favours Tom 625. Despite that, LGS is close. Up ahead of them, meanwhile, XRL Fearless fancies a look at Ice Cold Andy. Heading into turn 6, they brush wheels. Ice Cold Andy under big pressure is LGS is looking at the pair of them. XRL Fearless tries to drive on the outside of turn 7, realises there's no grip there and gives that up. Great driving. But Ice Cold Andy's made a mistake into turn 8. That's going to compromise into both 9 and 10. XRL Fearless weaving left and right, goes off the track. Tom 625 and LGS both go by. Disaster for the Red Bull driver. Tom 65 made a mistake at turn 12, but despite that has got the drag in the car to pull away. And LGS, despite with the DRS, unfortunately, Ice Cold Andy's given a toe to Tom 65. LGS with magnificent braking though, goes right round the outside of Tom 65 at turn 13. And LGS now has a great opportunity on Ice Cold Andy. Heading into turn 14, both drivers, as Ice Cold Andy goes all 4 tyres off. LGS keeps inside the white lines, he's got the DRS flat wide open to the outside line. LGS though is not intimidated, despite that nearly goes off the track. Tom 65, oh no, Tom 65's hit him, and LGS gets a side pod glitch. He's now down to turn 10. In P10, down in turn 2, and XRL Fearless looking at the inside, Tom 625, who's really struggling with the grip in that Mercedes. XRL Fearless looking to out-drag him down towards turn 6, into the hairpin, and XRL Fearless gets through there, and looking now back at the back of Ice Cold Andy. Breathless stuff. On the stream, Sir Clarkford says, he'd have thought Codemasters would have been able to do something about the side pod glitch by now. The thing is, I think they've stopped maintaining the game. They're focusing so much on Grid Autosport and on the next generation F1 games, I don't think they care anymore. As Tom 625 gets great drive out of turn 10, and he fancies a look at XRL Fearless, who actually lets him by deliberately, so he's going to get the XRL Fearless makes a mistake going through turn 12, and that's lost him a lot of grip.
Jump down there. Andy in P7, so he is fighting bound conditions. Stewart is the next one down the road. His pit stop and is running 5th, about 15 seconds away. TRL Buns got some severe as the top 2 are fighting out. That's Velexity and Nutters.
Yeah, Velocity got a decent drive at turn 6 there, but Nutters 91 still able to out-drag him heading towards the end. These two battling for the lead. Is it a net lead? I don't know. Answer on a postcard, because no one knows what's going on with the pit stop strategy. Now, Velocity's got to be careful here. He doesn't want to rear-end Nutters 91 going through turn 11. He's got to really judge his braking to perfection. And very good clean driving so far. Velocity saved all his curves. So heading into the DRS zone, that was turn 13. You'd expect that Lotus to really start to close up to the back of that Williams. Velocity looking at Nutters 91, who defends to the middle of the track. He's been reading the XRL LGS book on trying to defend here. Despite that, Velocity, is going to have the better line into turn 13, and he's going to pull into the lead for now. The question is, will Nutters 91 be able to get close to make a move into turn 1? Let's find out. Goes through turn 14, gets decent line there, but he's not got any curves. And as a result of that, Velocity's just been able to pull away, and Nutters 91 is just not close enough. Yeah, TRL Button's watching this from behind in the wings, and he's fancying the chance of getting involved here, because he knows if these guys continue to keep tripping each other up, he's the one who's got the opportunity. But the problem is, if TRL Button has got the gearbox smoke, he might find himself staring on the wrong side of a reprimand. So he's got to be careful here. And Mr. Indigo coming out of the pits on the fresh option tyres, and he's in 5th place. He's doing a fantastic job then, Mr. Indigo, and Stewart behind him in P6 in the Sauber. Both guys really punching above the weight. XRL LGS fancies a chance to look at the back of XRL Fearless and the Red Bull heading into turn 6, but XRL LGS is just a bit too far behind at the moment, as they've got a cluster of cars from like P7 down to P10, all within maybe 3 seconds of each other. So this could get quite juicy if any side-to-side wheel action happens and forces these guys to bunch up. XRL LGS gets a poor run through turns 7 and 8 though, and that compromises him as XRL Fearless starts to drive away. Heading in towards turn 11, and XRL LGS is just losing the speed here. And XRL Fearless is actually a threat to Tom 625. Now, I don't know if he's going to be close enough to get the DRS, but he's catching in quickly. Despite that, though, Tom 625 has not let the Sauber Stewart B949 get away from him. So, Tom 625 could be also a threat here, but no DRS for him. Behind him, meanwhile, XRL Fearless is now being hunted as the DRS flap for LGS's Ferrari is open. Heading into turn 13, LGS just not got the distance or the grip to make the move.
WRL Montoya goes up into 3rd place. Nutters has made his stop. He'll be going on to Prime's last stint. I'm pretty sure Velocity will go on to options for his final stint. Same as
flat wide open. XRL LGS heading out towards turn 1. XRL Fearless defends to the inside. XRL LGS commits to the outside line. XRL Fearless gets better grip through turn 2. And we're heading out towards turn 3. LGS wants to switch back here, but XRL Fearless just holds the high ground for now. Out of the kink of 4, is LGS going to have enough of a slingshot to move ahead? Meanwhile, ahead of them, battle here for turns 6th and 7th, as the Tom 625 fancies an outside look at Stewart D949. He has to commit back to the inside line because of the marbles, but Tom 625 going to be side by side with XRL Fearless. He's under big pressure here. XRL just wants to move on the inside of turn 7. This will be bright. You can make this stick around the outside of 8. XRL Fearless has to relinquish. He's going to sideswipe him into turn 9. And XRL LGS masterful driving to take that position. Absolutely extraordinary. Tom 65 meanwhile just did not have enough to make that work on Stewart B949, and as I predicted, these 4 drivers from 6th down to 9th have all bunched very closely indeed. This is a great opportunity. Tom 625 deploys his curves on turn 12, and he's going to be in the DRS zone for Stewart B949.
Where's Andy in all of this? He can't be too far away either.
Absolutely no idea, but Tom 65 got the outside line for turn 13. Stewart B949 is going to know he's there, and that's going to compromise him. Oh, Tom 65 forced to go to the outside there. Late bit of traction from Stewart, nearly hit him, and Stewart dives into the box, releasing Tom 625. But he's now got XRL LGS once again all over his gearbox. Seriously, these two should just get a room and tie the knot now the way they've been together through this whole race. This is unbelievable. Heading into turn 2, XRL LGS going to have the inside line, but that's going to get Tom 65 to tie the line through 3. LGS though is not intimidated, brushing his tyre on the outside of the wing there. That's really brave stuff, but he takes the position, driving clean round the outside of 3 and 4. Very imperative he did that from LGS. Good driving. As Mr. Indigo now is staring at the back of Nutters 91, who's made a mistake for turns 7 and 8. So Mr. Indigo on the options in the Red Bull, fancying a shot here at Nutters 91, who initially was in a battle for the lead, and now finds himself off the podium entirely.
Well, he's made his final stop, hasn't he? He's on the prime for his final stop. He won't go anymore. So 4th should be the place he'll finish as an absolute minimum.
Yeah, it depends on where everybody else finishes, doesn't it?
You got the top 2 definitely needs to pit. So
Tom 65 is going to have a chance here on LGS coming off turn 12. He's starting to close that gap down. He should have the DRS here. He's deployed all his curves. Now the question is, has the straight line speed of the Ferrari going to be able to make it difficult? Tom 65 gives it his all, heading down towards the final hairpin corner, but LGS is just too far ahead for now. But these two relinquish it, resuming their duel. These two have made life very difficult. Spirit of the Race Award's got to go to these two because they've been keeping the action going lap after lap. DRS flam over and Tom 625 heading down towards turn 1, but XRL LGS is probably going to be just too far ahead. Meanwhile, up ahead, once again, NMR Mr. Indigo really getting close to Nutters 91. Nutters 91 not having it easy at all at the moment. Heading round T6, Nutters 91 just getting better grip out of the corner. NMR Mr. Indigo not quite able to capitalise. Into turns 7 and 8. He's going to have the lower traction here, courtesy of the dirty air. NMR Mr. Indigo might want to hang back a little bit and try and close up between 10 and 11.
So TRL Buttons now got the DRS on Valexi. This is for the lead. I don't expect him to get past this lap. The gap's way too big. But maybe at the second DRS zone, if he can get close enough. That smoking gearbox though.
NMR Mr. Indigo going to have a chance here on Nutters 91, but he saves a bit of his curves, evidently wanting to use it in the cleaner traction zones. He deploys the second part of it at the end of turn 12. Unusual strategy. Most people use it in one shot there. DRS wide open, but he's just not close enough to the back of Nutters 91. And to head into turn 13, these guys have all been driving very cleanly. It has to be said, there's been a few tussles and a few sidepod glitches, but in general, it's been pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. The racing has been good. It's just been those sidepod glitches, but the drivers do know the sidepod glitches are there, so I feel like they should do better to avoid them. But no, they've done generally quite well. And these two guys.
And Mr. Indigo finds a shot at Nutters 91 here, because Nutters 91 went very wide in turn 2. So Mr. Indigo's got an opportunity as we head down towards turn 4. But again, he's a bit too far behind. He's just not got the pace. Nutters 91 doing a good enough job to hang on. WRL Montoya meanwhile in P3, but looking at the lead battle now, TRL Button is all over Velocity. Heading into turn 11, there's nothing between them, maybe 2/10. TRL Button now wants this lead. He wants this victory. And heading into turn 12, he's going for the inside line. Velocity covers him off there. Evidently not going to make it easy, but despite using the curse to defend, I expect TRL Button to blast past him here because he's right behind him. There goes the flat right now. And this is a case of heads or tails here. I think he's going to easily make this stick. Heading out to 13 though, Velocity's not going to give up, and the smoke from the back of that gearbox though. TRL Button has evidently done too much to his gearbox. Velocity's really forced him to drag the pace out of the McLaren.
But they're losing it on the exit of the final corner there.
And DRS now available to Velocity as a result of that, heading towards turn 1. But Button just got enough out of the car to keep ahead. But once again, have a face full of smoke courtesy of me is what he's saying to Velocity there. And Velocity's going to find it difficult to see. That's not going to make it easy for him.
It's just like as if TRL Buttons is choosing when he wants to do it. Aha, have some smoke, you're very close.
It looks that way. It's kind of like a James Bond thing, isn't it? It's like, Q, put this button in my car, have a face full of smoke.
That gap's really opened up. Buttons flying in this part of the race.
The name's Button. TRL Button.
WRL Montoya's in third. Nutters running in fourth. He's really not getting away from Indigo. Indigo's impressing today.
Yeah, Indigo's really fighting very hard on that Red Bull. He's doing a good job. Yeah, he's got the option tyres on, but that's not the point. He's still got to keep up with a driver who has been very, very quick. Despite not being really there in qualifying, he's had the race pace notice. He goes wide at turn 9 though. Really makes a bit of a mistake of that. And I'm wondering if he's going to be able to keep those tyres alive, because he's really put them. And that's going to be getting a lot of extra wear.
There's 13 laps to go, and you just don't know who's going to win this race.
Yeah,
So many different bearing strategies. I don't know.
Nutters 91 goes to the middle of the track and filters back to the left. I think he's realised that Indigo's just a bit too far behind, and even with the DRS eating into the gap ever so quickly, it's just not going to be enough for turn 13. But Indigo's going to have an opportunity here down towards 1. I'm surprised Indigo's not trying to switch his strategy a bit here, and maybe save some curves off 13, so he can attack down towards turn 1 with it. Meanwhile, ahead of them, I think WRL Montoya has just gone into the box. We've got a car on pit road. Who is that? That's actually Velocity. Velocity's gone in on the option tyres. And he's come out about 4 seconds behind these guys. Game now on for the victory.
So Nutters is, well, he'll feed out in P1 once TRL Button makes his stop.
But Indigo's not making it easy for him, because Indigo's still behind him, heading into turn 6. NMR Mr. Indigo's got a great opportunity here, getting decent traction out of the hairpin corner, heading down towards 7 and 8. And Indigo's done a fantastic job to fight back in this race. Really good driving. It's turns 9 and 10 as, once again, Nutters 91 taking the wider line there. I'm kind of surprised he's doing that. And that's forcing him wide again at turn 10. Surely you want to have the cleanest traction you can, especially with the DRS coming up. You don't want to be giving any advantage to your opponent, surely. And he got turn 12, and Indigo, despite the advice, is not listening. He's using his curves off turn 12. He's going to have the DRS on the back of Nutters 91. Can he get close enough into turn 13? Let's watch.
Not
And once
quite.
again, yeah, he's just having to back out a bit too early, isn't he?
Thing is, it's been the same old thing for Indigo today a little bit. It's sort of been close, but not getting there.
But he's got the DRS now, looking at the back of Nutters 91, heading towards turn 1. But once again, this second DRS zone, it doesn't actually seem that effective in the game. We saw it for real this year. We saw the likes of Fernando Alonso, we saw the likes of Kevin Magnussen, all really getting into the war zone, blasting by down towards turn 1. But it's not been effective on this game. Into turn 6, and Indigo once again looking at Nutters 91, and actually both of these guys have caught up quickly towards WRL Montoya. Now, WRL Montoya has been driving a pretty quiet race, actually. He's been pretty much on his own behind his teammate all race, but he's been up there on the pace to keep fighting for the podium. And he's kind of like, it's almost anonymous, but in the way that you want. A driver who's not standing out, but doing enough to get into the good position. And naturally, this is going to get really quite interesting, because Velocity has already closed up very quickly to the back of Indigo. There's only about 1.5 seconds between him and that Red Bull. So Velocity now is really in the pound seat. Where are you on track at the moment anyway, Dan?
I'm just watching TRL Button. I'm just seeing the track extending at the moment as he sort of took the final corner on the inside by a little bit. Now following Montoya. But I have to say, they are lapping quicker than Button at the moment, these guys. Button will have to pit probably in the next 3 or 4 laps, and he's going to have to really put in a big effort on the last few laps to sort of
You have to remember though, I mean, look at how many laps are available. There's only 10 laps to the flag though. So TRL Button goes in for a set of fresh option tyres, assuming he's got the tyres available. He's going to be able to literally go all out attack. If he's saved any fuel or anything like that, he might be able to really set the record books alight. So I wouldn't put TRL Button out of this yet. Velocity has caught up to the back of Indigo meanwhile in P5. He's not too far behind the Red Bull driver, heading into 7 and 8. Velocity going wide there, trying to avoid the dirty air, trying to not follow the car too much, protect his tyres, and crucially protect the downforce. And heading down towards turn 11, Velocity's got a great opportunity here on the back of NMR Mr. Indigo, who has drove a great race to come where he is so far. You can't take that away from him. Heading around turn 12, he's going to have the curves available and the DRS here. And Velocity's definitely got his opportunity. Wide open, stuck in the slipstream, and he's also cutting very quickly to the back. Indigo pulls way to the right. He's not having any of this, and he gets straight out of the fight. Now that's interesting. Is that because he knows he has to do a final stop, or is he thinking that he wants to get 91 and maybe steal a position? No, it is a pit stop. He's down straight into the box as soon as I say it. So velocity now is only about 2 seconds adrift of Nutters 91, and Nutters 91 is not far adrift of WRL Montoya. So we've got a three-way scrap now for second place, and depending on the pace of TRL Button, this could actually be a battle for the win.
It will be, and TRL Button, he'll be absolutely flying on that last stint. 9 more laps.
That's assuming he does go in for a stop. I mean, we're only 9 laps from the end now. I don't know when he last stops. I expect him to pit. But then again, we've seen stranger things happen in this racing league, where people have been able to keep the tyres going longer than anyone expected. As Nutters 91 makes another mistake at turn 9, now that gives him a decent exit out of 10, but even so, velocity's close right up to him now. Nutters 91 is going to see his victory chances slipping away from him as they go into turn 11. Velocity is getting aggressive on the curbs, trying to get as much pace as he can, heading into turn 12. Rocking on the curves, trying to get as close as he can to the back of Nutters 91, and he's saving about a quarter of his bar here. Velocity fancies a chance on the DRS down towards turn 1. Flap open, and Nutters 91 looking at the back of Montoya, but Montoya has just done enough to retain position for now. Nutters 91 in the Williams, going to have the DRS on WRL Montoya, who's not gone in either. And Button's in the box ahead of them. All 3 drivers are going to come out ahead of him.
Yeah, but Button's going to have them uber fresh tyres now.
Nutters 91 almost got blindsided by WRL Montoya to get out the gas. And Velocity, as a result, fancies a chance going around the outside of turns 3 and 4. But Nutters 91 just about hangs on. Heading into turn 5, though, Nutters 91 is going to be a big pressure here because Velocity on those fresher tyres. Oh, almost goes into the back of him. He has to pull totally out onto the marbles there, Velocity. And behind them, seen that and gone good. Because that's exactly what he wants. He's on the fresh tyres. He does not have to worry about wear. These drivers do. Heading out towards turn 11 as XRL, as Velocity looks at the back of Nutters 91, WRL Montoya. Oh! Mistake from Nutters 91, I think he hit WRL Montoya, and as a result he's gone off the track at 12, and Button's gone past him now.
Oh no, Nutters.
Now, as a result of that, DRS is going to be available to Velocity, but he's going to be careful because TRL Button is right behind him. We've got a scratch on the flag here, viewers. Who's going to win out of this lot? Oh, WRL Montoya! He almost causes Velocity to go into the back of him. And as a result of that, TRL Button throwing smoke with his gearbox almost goes into the back of Velocity. Going into the DRS zone, that was turn 1. Flat over TRL Button as Velocity fancies to go up the outside. TRL Button's going to stick under the back of WRL Montoya. Heading into turn 1, he goes to the outside line. Velocity, has he got through? Yes, he has. WRL Montoya meanwhile goes to the outside line. TRL Button tries clean past him into turn 3.
That was pretty good round the outside by TRL Button there. Just keeps it part of his wheel in the inside. Just gets a great drive around the outside on the exit of turn 2. Fantastic.
And now we've got a proper hammer and tongs scratch to the flag. TRL Button and Velocity mano a mano around the street here at Shanghai. Heading through turns 7 and 8. TRL Button fancies a look, trying to unsettle the Lotus driver. Velocity trying to settle down here. Oh, nearly goes off the track because of getting the outside line there. Hitting the curb at turn 9. That nearly throws him off through 10, but TRL Button has a bit too much curb on the outside. Heading into turn 11. Oh, both drivers pushing the track limits to the absolute maximum. And meanwhile, behind them, WRL Montoya is under big pressure from Nutters 91, but all eyes are on first and second. TRL Button uses the curves, heading into the middle of the track, trying to get the DRS here. Velocity's going to have to filter in behind the McLaren. There's no way he can defend that on the straight line speed, but he might be able to get a better line into the hairpin. As TRL Button throws a lot of smoke in his face, Velocity's not intimidated by that. Getting into look down towards turn 1, he's got a bit of his curves left here. Velocity has an opportunity as Button and both drivers go off the track. But that's not going to stop Velocity. He's deploying his curves. He's deploying his DRS. Oh, Button making a late change of direction there. Velocity just backs out of that. Button goes around the outside. Can he get a better line into turn 3 as a result of this? Velocity into the heavy slowing corner. Has to let Button go for now. High mouth action here from Shanghai, China viewers as we into the final 6 laps of this race. Will Velocity be able to find some pace with somewhere to fight back? Or will TRL burn on the fresher tyres, hang on and take his 3rd straight victory here in Season 7?
Velocity's tyres just don't have that same grip as TRL Buttons do, but as long as he keeps himself in the DRS, he keeps himself in the hunt for this race win.
Exactly, and we have also seen that I don't think TRL Button's great on his wear either. And even though he's only got 8 laps to go, it only takes one mistake. We've seen that before. Heading into turn 11, you see there, he really struggled, TRL Button. Really made that difficult. And then kind of straight line the final corner. Look at the distance he's gained as a result of that.
I'm sure I know how to do that.
DRS available to Velocity, but he's not going to be anywhere near Button here, and he's not got any curves either. So heading off turn 13, Button's going to have the opportunity, once again, have some smoke. He's really being generous in that department. And behind him, meanwhile, in P3, who's that? Is that Notice 91? It is, no, it's WRL Montoya. Notice 91's actually fallen away from the second McLaren. Now, heading further forward, we're going to stick with this battle for the lead right to the end here. Velocity got the DRS, but once again, Button's still too far ahead of him. I'm not sure where Button's found this from, but he's certainly found it to be able to put big pressure on the lowest driver. And you can see there, look at that gap. TRL Button, I reckon, has got about a second, if not more now.
Yeah, it's more about a second and a half. He's out of DRS for sure.
Moving further back then, let's get this battle with WRL Montoya and Notice 91, the battle for the final podium position, as WRL Montoya on the prime tyres hasn't stopped, and neither has Notice 91. So it's all about who's got the pace over the longer stint here. Notice 91 pressure in the back of that McLaren, doing all he can to try and attack. Oh, and the McLaren makes a bit of a mistake there, almost goes off the circuit. As a result of that, Notice 91 is going to be close, heading into the DRS zone. Meanwhile, is that lag? Did I just see lag on the back of Velocity's car there? Oh, Notice 91, what was that? Totally went through turn 11, didn't even triangle around the outside of it.
Yeah, that gap between him and TRL Buttons opened up quite substantially. I think there was a bit of lag between the two of them, or
Notice 91 is in DRS zone, but he's not deploying it. Has Notice 91 got a DRS fault of all the times to get it? But WRL Montoya makes a mistake coming out of turn 13, gets a lot of wheel slip as we head towards turn 14. WRL Montoya goes into the box.
What?
What the hell is that about?
Well, it looks like Indigo might be a bit happy with that.
Yeah, no, Mark, it's a scheduled stop. WRL Montoya is going to come out in 5th place.
Definitely 5th, he can't be any lower than that. But yeah, really odd. Why would you do that?
Well, Enema Mr. Indigo now is going to have at least 10 seconds on him. Unless he's 2 seconds a lap faster, he's going to be absolutely no threat to Indigo.
And Indigo's on the options.
Yeah, exactly. So Indigo's on the faster tyre as well. So he's not even got that advantage. Velocity, meanwhile, look at the distance he's lost to Button.
I think part of that was some lag involved.
I agree. I mean, it's about 7 seconds that gap now, and it was not that big initially. So I think he's had some lag somewhere. Notice 91 though, on for a solid podium in 3rd place, drove really well. And meanwhile, Enema Mr. Indigo, probably the unsung hero of the race. He's really kept it together.
He's had a fantastic race today. He seems to keep the tyres in. He seems to get a good pace from it as well.
Meanwhile, Stuart B949, he's had a quiet run, and he's got XRL Fearless all over the back of his gearbox. XRL fails, so fancy a look into turn 11, but he knows DRS is coming. Despite that, he's not going to wait. XRL Fearless makes the move stick, beautifully done, but has to handed the initiative to Stuart B949 under DRS down to turn 13. Kirsty Power fails his red ball. DRS flat wide open, great opportunity, but he's pulled out the slipstream a little too early. XRL Fields makes a late defensive move to the right hand side. Stewart sticks to the left. Is XRL Fields going to be compromised wide? No, he's not. He finds the traction there. Great driving from XRL Fearless. Stuart B949 meanwhile is going to have a chance here towards turn 1. Oh, goes a little wide on the outside. XRL Fearless. Despite that, Stewart has got the DRS flap open, heading towards turn 1. Is he going to be close enough to make a move? No, he's not. Great driving.
Right, so let's actually round off because there's only going to be a few more laps. I can't really see the positions changing too much. So Button looks like he's got the victory with
Commentator's curse.
I'm quite good at that. I mean, I'm not giving that out. I was still baffled by WRL Montoya's decision. I mean, he's probably dropped a couple of points because of that.
Well, WRL Montoya now is only just coming up to turn 11. And ahead of him, meanwhile, Mr. Indigo is already off the bank turn 13. Bank turn 12, sorry.
Is on board with Mr. Ice Cold Andy, rising for 10th and 11th place.
Wow. How the mighty fall. Because if that sticks for the end of the race, he's going to be 74 points behind TRL Button. Ouch. Meanwhile, Stuart B949 in P8 has actually got Tom625 in P9, and then XRL Fozzie in P10. But as you said before, Ice Cold Andy in P11 is going to have the DRS heading down towards the hairpin. I do have to say, though, commitment being shown here by Andy. In the last couple of races, he would have been able to finish maybe 8th or 9th, and a great move around the outside at turn 13 there. Great drive from Ice Cold Andy. He's actually decided to stick it out.
Before it's too late. Keep an eye on this, he might be able to get 8th place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's showing the commitment to actually stay and finish the race. In the last couple of races, at both Malaysia and also at Australia, he's pulled out of the races way too early, in my opinion. Could have got more points, instead he's ended up with nothing. He's showing commitment now. That's what you need to do as a champion. You need to be committed and take any points you can. XRL Fearless, meanwhile, is not going to let go of XRL LGS. LGS is in P6 at the moment. He's driving really well. Considering where he was initially in qualifying and where he ended up qualifying overall, he's been battling all throughout the race, and he's been in the wars, and he's not really been involved in any incidents. He's just done enough to get the positions. Another probable unsung hero. But he goes off the track at turn 11 as I say that, and that puts him wide at 12. So XRL Fearless is going to surely gobble him up here down to turn 13. Coming off the banking curves deployed by XRL Fearless. But at the same time, I think LGS has responded with the same in kind. DRS flap open, and XRL Fearless steals a little toe there. Very, very aggressive from him. Heading out towards turn 13. He's going up the inside line. Can XRL Fearless get the car stopped? Yes, he can. Now, can XRL LGS get the traction to fight back down towards turn 1? As we head up to the 55th lap here, only 2 laps to go. DRS open from XRL LGS, and he's right behind XRL Fields. Oh, and XRL Fields is right behind him. 5-second lag again!
No way.
Why does that keep happening?
Mr. Ice Cold Andy's made the move on the Mercedes of Tom625. So that's now 9th for Mr. Ice Cold Andy. He's got 2 laps. I mean, who's next up the road?
Interestingly, WRL Montoya is only about 1.5 seconds adrift of NMR Mr. Indigo. It's not over for 4th place. Despite that bizarre decision to pit, he's actually found the pace. And he's done a 1:34.1 as his fastest lap. Oh, LGS has got a 10-second penalty of some kind.
Yeah, I saw that about 20 laps ago. I completely forgot to mention it, but the last 4 as Indigo's lost that
definitely.
Place. Indigo's lost the place.
Well, that happened while I was taking a look at the scoreboard there. Yeah, WRL Montoya under DRS But anyway, Mr. Indigo's not giving up. Look how close he came to that diffuser and that McLaren there. Anyway, Mr. Indigo is not intimidated, but WRL Montoya with the fresher rubber as we go on to the final lap. It's been breathless stuff. Both drivers going totally off the circuit. All the drivers have been pushing the luck there, has to be said. Oh, meanwhile, anyway, Mr. Indigo's back and forth. WRL Montoya's got the lag. WRL Montoya, a 5-second lag.
Oh no! Right, we're going to get on board with that for the final lap. Looks like Andy might have a go at Stewart on the final lap as well. Let's work our way up.
Indeed, WRL Montoya, I don't actually think he's got any hope here, because ahead of him, Indigo, yeah, Indigo's actually got a lap car in between him.
Is it a lap car?
I think
Don't
so,
think
yeah.
I think that's Nutters in P3. It's Nutters in P3 in front of him.
So a car that was a lap ahead. Was it? I don't know. No, yeah, it's gone. There was a strange car between WRL Montoya and NMR Mr. Indigo on my screen. I don't know what it was. It wasn't Nutters, it was someone else. Interesting. XRL GS, meanwhile, in 6th place now, has been released a bit, courtesy of XRL Fields, his 5-second lag. Massive commiserations to him. He deserved better than that. Absolutely extraordinary that this has happened. Meanwhile, going back to P5, WRL Montoya has got one opportunity, and XRL Button goes over the line and takes a very hard-fought victory provisionally. And Mr. Indigo's not got the DRS on Nutters 91, so and he goes all 4 times over the inside, turn 13, nearly spins the car, but he's just going to hang on. Meanwhile, Nutters 91 going over the track limits at turn 14, that does Indigo. He takes P3 and Indigo in 4th, and WRL Montoya an excellently fought P5. But meanwhile, let's get the drivers in here so we can get their opinions in the box. Well, once again, we seem to get good races from this division. These guys really put on a show.
And Andy does overtake Stewart in the end, so he does climb up into 8, and I think might gain a place through LGS's 10-second penalty as well. 7th, he does finish 7th.
Depends on what the penalty's for, obviously, because needless to say. Meanwhile, Sir Claver's put an interesting comment on the stream. He said, aliens, Swish. Well, Bourne, let's go to you then. Race early on, there was the scrap at the first couple of corners, which caused a few people to go out. And then since then, it seemed like a war of who can pick when and who can get the pace. Was that an easy victory, or was that really hard fought all the way?
That was really hard for me. I had to really try, because I had my mic on me, obviously, but I was screaming and shouting that, because, I got took off the track by Valexi. I don't know if it was lag or anything like that, but it really annoyed me. But managed to just drive best ever drives, I think, this season, and just pull back 20 seconds or 15 seconds. That was amazing.
I mean, 3 victories from 3 races is almost pretty much the perfect start. As we head over into Bahrain, do you think you can carry that form through?
At Bahrain, I think, yeah, I can.
Excellent stuff. Well,
around there.
Well, I mean, I'd say it was a good blinding performance and a good racing all throughout, so congratulations for that. Meanwhile, we'll go then over to... he's not joined the party. We'll go over to Nutters then, who was also on the podium for now, while we wait for Velocity to come in. Certainly seemed a bit of a tricky drive for you, Nutters. Early on, it looked like you might have got yourself into contention for the victory with a reverse strategy. And then towards the end, you found yourself in a bit of a rival duel with WRL Montoya. Was that difficult for you to take a 3rd place in the end?
Yeah, it was. I've got quite a lot to talk about after the race. I don't know how much you guys caught, but I'm not happy at all because, I got held up.
Well, I saw Velocity nudge the track.
Yeah, that happened as well. But I'm not too fussed about that. He was quicker than me at that point, so I would have been okay to get gone. But yeah, I started 11th, so there must have been some chaos going up the top for me to get pretty much up to 1st. And then, I was just driving my own race, and it kind of got ruined by Montoya. I mean, he knocked me off quite a few times, and he was weaving down the back straight. And
sorry, guys, sorry, I'm going to take some control here. If you've got any issues with drivers, we'd like to do them in the stewards' meeting privately. So we'll discuss those once the podium ceremony is over. But going back to the race nutters, I mean, you certainly seem to find yourself having to push really hard with the different kind of tyres that are being caught out there. And also, you did seem to get into a bit of a duel with NMR Mr. Indigo. Did that surprise you, or were you expecting to be racing those guys right towards the end of the race?
No, it didn't surprise me. Indigo, before the mishaps, which will be talked through later, I was about 10 seconds ahead of Indigo, so he wasn't a worry at all. And then I got caught up with Montoya, and then it put Indigo all over the back of me. And yeah, it really made it a struggle to get third in the end. Where really I was hoping for higher, but you know, well, who's to say what could have happened? But yeah, I guess I should be happy with the third place, starting with 11th.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very difficult fought race, so congratulations for making it through there. So, with that in mind, viewers, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get the other driver. We're not going to get Velocity in here for his fault. So,
I think he's annoyed or pissed off that he didn't win. So, I don't know.
Well, either way, we'll obviously discuss that another time. So tomorrow night, meanwhile, viewers, GP2 will be live on Channel 1, once again brought to you by GT Omega Racing and GamePod.co.uk. I'll be in the box for you there, along with Chris Moss. He'll be in there with me. On the Tuesday evening, we've got the GP3. I'm hoping his computer will be sorted out this week, and we'll have Sharky being able to cover that for you. On the Wednesday evening, we've also got F4 the same night, and then on Wednesday evening, it's F5000 and T6 double header. Bernie, you're covering one of those races, aren't you?
I am. We've got F1 Speed, VHA Captain Way, doing the other.
Excellent. And then, of course, before we go back to the Bahrain Grand Prix on Sunday evening, where you'll have myself and Dan once again. Are we going to see TRL Button maintain his perfect record, or are we going to see some fight back from the likes of Ice Cold Andy, Velocity, and the other drivers? Who knows? Anything can happen here in the X-Rite Racing League. But for